Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Numerics with Nadia. In today's lesson, we're going to go over a few very important terms and concepts in beginner statistics. So what we will be doing in our lesson is first we will define all of these new terms. So the terms we're going to be focusing on today are mean, median, mode, and range. And then, as always, we will work through a few practice problems. Our practice problems for today's video and for statistics videos are going to be applying these terminologies to a data set. So that's what we will be doing today. That's our lesson plan. And first off, let's go through and define all of these terms. So our beginner statistic terms were mean, median, mode, and range. Let's start out with defining what the median is. So the median is referred to as the middle value in a data set. Now, the middle value is going to change depending on whether your data set has an odd number of values or an even number of values. So for a set with an odd number of values, the median is the middle number, right? Because there's an odd number, there will be just one in the middle. But on the other hand, for a set with an even number of values, the median is the mean or the average of the two middle values. And we will work through defining what the mean or the average is as well, but this is just a beginner definition for you guys for the median of a data set. So now that we've gone through what the median of a data set is, we'll get into what the mode of a data set is. So the mode of a data set is the value or values, you can have more than one mode, that occur most often. So the little trick that I tell most of my students is mode starts with MO, right? So most also starts with MO. So whenever you see mode, think most and think of the value that occurs most frequently. Now we'll get into our third vocab word for today's lesson. The third one is range. Now, the range of a data set is the difference between the greatest value and the least value in the data set. And one good thing to note here is the range describes how spread out the data are, right? Since it's the difference between the greatest and the least value, the range describes the spread of our data. So that is our third term for today's lesson. And now we'll get into our fourth and final term. Our fourth term here is the mean. So the mean is sometimes referred to as the average of a data set, but regardless, how we define it and how we would find it, we would find it by summing all of the values in the data set and then dividing by the total number of values. So you take all of your values, you add them together, and then you divide by the number of values. So I would highly encourage you guys to copy this down into your notebook. We have defined 4 of the most foundational terms in beginner statistics, so definitely copy this down into your notebook. And now we will get into some practice questions on how to apply and how to calculate all of these different new terms that we've learned. So the directions for our practice section say to find the median, mode, range, and mean of the data sets below. And for our first practice problem today, our data set is as follows. We have 5, 13, 24, 28, 5, 19, 20, 16, 0, and 19. So an important note here is that when we see our data set, we always, as our first step, want to reorder all the numbers in the data set from least to greatest. This will help us with calculating our range, and it'll help us set up for finding our median. So always order your data set from least to greatest before you start doing any of the additional work. So that's what we will do as our first step here. We will reorder everything. Careful here though, you just don't want to forget any numbers. So as I write the numbers down from least to greatest, I'm going to cross them out just to make sure that I don't miss any numbers, because that will change our answers. So far we have 0, 5, 5, 13, 16, 19, 19, 20, 24, and 28. So we've ordered our data set from least to greatest, and now we can get into finding all of these terms, right? Calculating all of these things. So the thing I like to start out with is the range. And if you recall, the range is just the spread of our data. So we're going to take our greatest number and subtract our least number. In this case, that would be 28 minus 0. So our range is 28. Now that we've calculated our range, let's get into the mode. Mode, remember, is what occurs the most. So in this case, let's see our data set. We have 2 5s, so that is a mode, but we also have 2 19s. So in this case, we have 2 modes, and they are 5 and 19. Next, we will get into our median. For the median, now that we have our data set ordered from least to greatest, we will go through and cross out one from each side. So our least number and our greatest, and then keep going left and right until we see what values are in the middle. In this example here, we have an even data set. So we have 2 numbers in the middle. We have 16 and 19. Because of that, we will find the average of 16 and 19. So we'll add 16 and 19 together and then divide by 2. When we do that, we end up getting 35 over 2. And 35 divided by 2 is 17.5. So that would be our median for this data set. And last but not least, we will get into our mean. Just as a reminder, this is statistics, so we are able to use a calculator here. For our mean, we're going to add up all of our numbers together and then divide by the number of numbers. So we will do 0 plus 5 plus 5 plus 13 plus 16 plus 19 plus 19 plus 20 plus 24 plus 28. And how many numbers do we have here? Well, let's go through and count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the sum of all of the numbers for our numerator is 149, and then when we go through and divide that by 10, we get 14.9, so that would be our mean, and that would wrap up our first practice problem. Now we'll get into another practice problem with another data set just to really practice and apply all the things we've learned. For our second data set, we have the numbers 2, 14, 15, 20, 3, 22, 18, 33, and 17. So again, first step here, we always want to reorder our data and put it from least to greatest. So when I go through and do that, we will start out with our least, which is 2. Then we have 3, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 22, and 33. Now that our data is ordered from least to greatest, we can start out with our range again. Our range, if you recall, is just the greatest number minus our least number. In this example here, it would be 33 minus 2. And when we do 33 minus 2, we end up getting 31. So our range for this data set would be 31. Now, for the mode, there is none here, right? Every number only appears once, so nothing is occurring more than that amount, so there is no mode. Instead, we'll move on to our median. Again, we're going to cross out once from the least side, once from the greatest side, until we get our middle number. In this case, we have a set that has an odd number of terms, so there is one middle number, and that number is 17, so 17 would be our median. And then last but not least, we'll go through and we'll calculate our mean. We're going to go ahead and add up all of the numbers in our set, and then we'll divide by the number of numbers. So we will do 2 plus 3 plus 14 plus 15 plus 17 plus 18 plus 20 plus 22 plus 33. And how many numbers do we have in our set? We have 9 numbers here. So we will divide that by 9. When I add up all of the terms for our numerator, we get 144. 144 divided by 9 gives me 16. So 16 would be the mean of our data set. And that wraps up our second practice problem for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was an introduction to beginner statistics. So if you have any questions on this or any other statistics-based questions or any other questions on any math topic in general, please feel free to comment that down below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like it if you did, share this video with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.